Good afternoon, everybody. Can we just make sure that everybody can hear me correctly? If you can just put yes in the little chat box, that would be great. Just before we start, thank you very much. I'll just wait for confirmation. Everybody can hear me? Yeah. Everybody's good? Everybody can hear me? Great. So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark. I'm one of the Chef Academy chefs in the UK Academy here in the Banbury site. It's a great pleasure to invite you to our first live demo, live YouTube demo here today. We've got another 3 demos coming up just to go through a little bit about them first. So we've got a vegan dessert one coming up with Julie Sharp and Claire. So join in on that one. That's on the 2nd of December at 2 o'clock as well. I'm doing a garnish one, so lots of different ways to garnish desserts, cakes, some decorations as well. And that's coming up on the 8th of December, again at 2 o'clock. And then we've got another one, Julie and Claire are doing one on Christmas baubles. So different decorations, different ways of decorating chocolate baubles that you can hang on your tree and use for other things as well. And that's coming on the 11th of December at 2 o'clock. So you can go to our social media sites and you can register your interest for those ones as well. And again, they're all free, so just come along and maybe you'll pick up a few little tips, okay? Just below me, you'll see in the description box, we've given you some of the products I'll be using today and some recipes I'll be using today, but I'll be going through them. Some of them take a little bit of time, so it's easier to give you the recipe and then you can make it in your own time as well. So I hope everybody is ready. So today, guys, I want to show you how to make 2 different showpieces. They're both going to be on the theme of a Christmas tree. 2 different techniques on putting together and obviously the finish as well. So I hope you're excited to learn a little bit about this. I'm not going to go through tempering today, guys. We will be doing things like the basic stuff, so tempering, how to make ganaches and things like that later in January. We just wanted to get 4 lovely YouTube live videos out there for you just on the Christmas stuff. So we will come to doing the tempering and stuff. But you can go to the Callebaut website, which has all the information underneath in the description box as well, and where to link up to learn how to temper chocolate. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is make the first treat. Now, for the first treat, we're going to use Easter egg molds. I like to use Easter egg molds because a lot of times, obviously, we only use them for Easter, and it's really good if we actually use them for other things as well. So I want to show you how to make a Christmas tree using different sizes of Easter egg molds. Now, the first thing we're going to do is obviously show you how to mold the Easter egg mold. So I've got some tempered chocolate here already. So I'm using the Callebaut 823 milk chocolate. And what we want to do is we're going to ladle it in to our mold. And it's really important that you fill them always right to the top. Okay? That means that we're going to get more of an even shell to our eggs. I'm only going to need 2, but obviously I'll just do the 3rd one. Anyway, it's always good to have a backup. Now I'm going to get a scraper and I'm going to scrape from the top all the way back in. Make sure you scrape the sides as well. Keep it all nice and clean. Okay, we're going to give it a little tap on the table. And that gets rid of any air bubbles that we've got on the surface. Okay, for this it's not too important because we're going to decorate the outside with more chocolate, so it's not too important. Now, there's 2 ways of doing this. With the larger egg, I want it to be slightly thicker. Okay, now one way we can do it is just by leaving it like this for a few minutes, and you'll see that it will start to set from the outside inwards. Okay, and I'll get a thicker shell. The other way of doing it is by doing it twice. So you can empty it out like so straight upside down. You want to give it a little tap. Keep it nice and straight as well, because if you don't, you're going to get a very uneven egg if you do it like so. So keep it nice and straight. A little tap like that. And then just scrape upside down, make it all nice and clean, like so. You're going to pop that down onto a piece of acetate or greaseproof paper, onto a tray, and then we're going to preset that before we put it into our fridge. Our fridge is roughly about 3, 4, 5 degrees, okay? Now, to do the double layer, that's just a single layer, and I do that for the smaller eggs. For the double one, let it set it at room temperature, and then do that whole process again. and that will make you a lot thicker on the egg, and then you pop it into the fridge. Don't put it in the fridge between the two coats, okay? Because one thing is when you turn it upside down, the chocolate might have already contracted away, and it's going to fall into your tempered chocolate, okay? So just let it semi-dry, do the coat again. So we understand that, so I'm going to leave that for now, but I would do another coat on that, or like I said, you would leave it full up for a couple of minutes. That's going to be thick enough to empty out, and then you've got your thicker shells. We're also going to do, I want a little base for my tree, so I'm going to use a flower pot. You can get just a normal flower pot, plastic one of course, or you can get more sort of like professional ones, okay? But this one I'm going to show you first. So obviously we've got holes in the bottom, so that's not going to be very good for our chocolate. So we're going to take a little bit of sellotape, and we're going to tape up those holes. Okay, make it sure it's really nice and firm. Guys, I didn't say, but if you have any questions throughout the demo, just pop them into the chat, and we can answer them. I've got Natasha here with me today. She's controlling all of the cameras and all of the social media and all of the questions and all that. So she'll pass the questions on if we have time. If we don't have time, then we'll get back to you at a later date. Also with this video is you can always watch it again as well. So you can just link back on and you can watch it all over again if you've missed something as well, okay? Okay, so I've sellotaped up the holes. And again, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to fill it all the way to the top. Again, we can do 2 coats, we can do 1 coat, but this is going to have to be a thicker coat on this, okay? Because it's going to be the bottom of our showpiece, so we need a little bit of weight in there. I think we have a question. Natasha?
We do. Caroline says, if these were to be sold, would they need to be food-grade plastic pots?
They definitely would be, yes. That's very true. Absolutely, yes. You have to be very careful with that, indeed. Thanks for the question. So, again, I'd leave that to set, do another layer, put it back on, semi-dry, into the fridge, okay? So everybody understood. So you can see when they come out, you see when you empty it upside down, you've got a bit of thicker edge there, which is really, really important for when we put and build our showpiece, okay? So that's our pot. You can see all the indentations of the pot. If you need to, we're going to paint this later, so just give it a little smooth around. If you've got any imperfections, if you've got any little marks, you can always fill it up with a bit more tempered chocolate, wait for it to set, and then just rub it. I prefer to rub it with my finger, just down, and then you'll get it nice and smooth all the way around. Okay, so we'll come back to that one in a second. Now, once we've got our eggs, and I'm going to use 5 different sizes of Easter egg molds, okay? But I want to show you how to pop these together. So I've got a hot plate here. Now, not everybody has a hot plate, I know. So you can use like a metal tray, something like that, that's been in the oven, and that works just as well. A little bit of marble, like a marble slab or something like that, pop it in the oven for a few minutes. Not too hot, just literally 80 degrees, 10 minutes is hot enough, okay? Problem with these ones is they get very, very hot, so we have to keep turning them on and off all the time. So just wait for it to warm up. Now, if I was using these eggs as like Easter eggs, and I had a design on them, I wouldn't be using my bare hands to touch them, okay? Because obviously I'm going to get marks around them, but we're going to repaint these so we don't have to worry so much. So I can feel that's just warming up nicely. So you're going to take half, you're going to just move it around, and you can see, and what you want is to make sure that you melt all the way around, okay? Same with the next one. And then just pop them together like so. Line them up, make sure they're all lined up. If you've got any oozy chocolate coming out, then just literally just push that down, make it nice and smooth. For what we're going to do, the detail on it, you don't have to worry too much. Okay, but that's our egg. Now you might want to just pop that down for a few minutes. It might roll about a bit, pop it on a little bit of tissue to keep it into one place, okay? But it just takes a couple of minutes to set. So I'll just pop that there. Let's just get rid of this. Okay, so I've got some more eggs here, which I've already done a design on. So you can see I've got all the different sizes I need of my eggs. So I've got my one I've just done I need to complete. Okay, so I'm going to do this effect with a little bit of natural sponge. So I've got a little bit of natural sponge. I like using these sponges. They get a really nice technique and a really nice texture to the surface. So take your egg, take a little bit of chocolate. Just going to grab a little tub. So I dab it into the tub because I don't want to put too much on in one go, and then just literally speckle it all around. Okay, just keep going. Like so. And then you can just do one half, and then I'll just pop that down, let that set, and then you can do the other half, okay? And just keep going around so they're all completely covered in that texture from the natural sponge. We have a question. Yes,
And what size are the egg molds, please?
Good question. I don't know. So I reckon the larger one is probably about 12.5, and then I think it goes down like every 2 centimeters in between each one, okay, roughly. But let me work that out, and I'll put it onto the chat to make sure that you know, because it is important. That's probably why you're asking. If you get them different sizes and there's too much in between, it can look a bit odd as a tree when we put it all together, okay? Right, so these are all ready, really. So with my pot, I'm going to decorate my pot. I'm going to take a little bit of our Scarlet Creative Powder from our IBC range. Okay, I always work on a tray, and I like working with these really nice sort of like makeup brushes. Okay, you get a really good finish from that. And I tend to start in the lid, to be honest, because there's quite a lot on the lid. Okay, and then you can just literally brush it over. If you need to take a little bit, put it into there, put it onto the tray, take a little bit off, and then continue with that till it's all done. Okay. If you want to do, you could paint this in cocoa butters as well, but we'll come to cocoa butters in a bit. I just wanted to show you how easy it was. Use the creative powders, these really nice metallic ones. Okay, so that's that one done. Put this back. Now we're going to build it slightly, so we're going to grab the hot plate back again. It's time to put these together. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit this onto our pot, but we can't obviously sit it like that, so it's just going to rock around. Okay, so we need to melt some of this down. So just warm up the hot plate. It's a little bit warm, so that's good. And we're going to, so look around, see which is the best, sides, and then we're going to just hold it slightly and just literally push it down. So a little bit of pressure, keep it nice and straight. So what you're forming is, you're going to go through a little bit with a hole, but that's okay. That's okay, keep going. We want it to be a little bit thicker so it will actually meet each side of the pot there. So just a slight bit of pressure. Let's just see, a little bit more. If it gets too much chocolate on here, just literally scrape it away. Scrape it to one side or scrape it to the end, and then come back to it in a second. Okay, push that down. Okay, we're roughly about the right shape now. Okay, the right size for our pot. Just to give my pot a little bit of weight, I'm going to pop a little bit of chocolate in the bottom of my pot. Even though we've done the double coat, okay, I still want to put a little bit of weight there. Okay, so just literally going to take a little bit of tempered dark chocolate. It could be white or whatever you've got because you're not really going to see it. And just pop that in the bottom. And that will just set. And we're ready to go. Just going to take a little bit off of each one. So just same again. Just so you make a little hole in each one. We have a question? Yeah, Natasha.
What are the chocolate melting machines that you are using, please?
So these are the mold art machines. So these are holding tanks, so they will hold the temperature. So we still have to temper the chocolate, put it into it, but it will hold it for you. These are from Vantage House, you can get hold of them. Now these are the 6 kilo ones, so you can get the larger ones, and they do a 3 kilo smaller one as well, so they're really good. But this size is really good because when you're emptying out the molds, like that Easter egg mold, it will flood all the way back into the tank. It's a nice size for it. Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, so I'm going to grab a little bit of chocolate now. So I'm going to go back to the milk because it's all milk that's there. Just move that over. So just take a little bit off. I'm going to pop a little bit of chocolate around, and then making sure that it lines up nicely, we can pop on our egg. Okay, let's pop it just a little bit further over. So, now if you want it to set really quickly, we can use our freeze spray. And that will set it nicely. Make sure it's nice and level on there like so. We're going to put the next one. But this time we want to put this one the opposite way. Okay, so we don't want to have them all looking that way. Okay, but you might feel like that. You might sort of feel that that's quite a good way, but that's okay. It's your egg and your showpiece. So a little bit of chocolate. And then I'm going to pop this and just move this around so I can see. Like that. Trying to keep it in the center. If you keep it more to the side, it's obviously going to fall off a little bit. A little bit of the freeze spray there. And then my next one. I'm going to go in the opposite way. Really good. We'll just turn it towards me. Make sure it's good to look at it up from the top as well, because then you'll know that it's all in one line. And then the next one. So, all right. So you can make these as big or as small as you like. Let's just get rid of that egg. This is a very small one. I have made a bigger one, which I'm going to show you in a second. So, but I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do to colour this, because obviously it doesn't look very much like a Christmas tree at the moment. So this time I'm going to use some cocoa butter colours, and I'm going to go back to using the sponge. And the shell. This one here will do. So what I'm going to do is I've got some cocoa butters here already melted. I want a green cocoa butter. So this is the IBC light green colour, and I've got some of the white colour. And I tend to work with my cocoa butters around about 30 to 32 degrees. Okay, so I melt them, I've got them in my hot plate there at at the right temperature, and they've been holding like that all day. That means that they're going to set very quickly, a lot more evenly, and I won't get any blooming from the cocoa butter. Okay. I'm going to make a couple of different greens. So I'm going to keep this one the light green in the tub, and then I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. Okay, so we've got two greens. We've got a lighter green, and then we've got an even lighter green. Two greens basically. Okay, take your sponge. I'm going to start with the darker one, and we're just going to literally stipple that all around. Okay, just go all the way around. You might want to go around again, and then again. So you see you're just starting to coat the outside. Obviously, you could do this by spraying the cocoa butters as well. Unfortunately, I can't use cocoa butters in our studio here. Our new academy, which opened in January this year, and then closed again in March, like everything else. So we can't. We have a specialised spraying room, and obviously that's over the other side of the academy. So at the moment, we can't do any spraying as such in here. But sometimes it's quite nice not to spray everything. I like to, hand paint, and a lot of people don't have spray machines as well. So it's good just to, have a little go at something different. So basically, you're going to keep on going all the way around with the green. Come in with a little bit on the lighter one, and just sort of almost you're going to blend it together. If you think you've got more than enough of the one color, then you can go back over it as well. If you wanted, you could do another green. So you've got 3 different types of greens, but I find these 2 blend quite nicely. And just basically keep going around. Okay, so we'll end up with a nice green tree. Just be careful. What I would have done normally is I put a little bit of cling film around the pot, so that just protects the pot. Okay, but unfortunately, that's one thing I don't have with me in this room at this present time. So yeah, just cover that up, and then you'll find it's going to be a lot easier. Okay, we're going to come back to that in a minute. So I'm going to put that to one side, let that dry. But obviously, I'd go around the whole thing, make sure it's all got the colour on there. Okay, right. So we're going to do a little bit of a decoration is going to go on this tree, and then I want to show you putting it all together. So I've got this mould. It's almost like a teardrop shaped mould. You can do this with a small egg mould as well. Okay, but I particularly like this mould. It's a nice, quite a modern shape now. A lot of people have got this mould or buy this mould because it's a really nice shape. Great for little individual chocolates, but great for what I'm going to do. So I want to decorate these. So again, I'm going to take a little bit of my cocoa butter. In a little pot. So I'm going to do this with about 4 or 5 different colours. So I've got yellow, pink, orange, red, green. Okay, so all different. And these are going to be light bulbs for our tree. Okay. So you're only going to need a couple of each. So one mould would do your whole tree, and I've got a bigger tree than I've just done. So don't worry too much. If you want more on there, then obviously you can do more. But all you're going to do is you're going to paint it into the mould, but I want to paint like lines, okay? And you've got to try and be as straight as possible. Keep it nice and fine. Now I don't want to cover the whole thing. Usually when we do spraying or chocolates, we're going to cover that. I want the line sort of effect on it, so it's part of my technique, okay? So it doesn't look like I've got a lot on there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it off with another colour. So just keep going. So I'm just going to do these 4 because you don't want to sit there and watch me paint all these. It'd be really, really boring. So pop that back. We're going to let them dry. I'm just going to literally take off that colour. So I'm going to take a little bit of paper towel. And the colour I've got on the edge there, I'm just going to literally smooth that off. What you don't want to do is start brushing and taking it off like this, because the cloth is going to go into the mould and it's going to take off all that work you've done in the mould. Question, Natasha?
I've got two questions.
Oh.
Where can they get the mould? And also, are you using a brush or silicone tool?
I'm using a brush, so a hair brush, as in fibres, not a silicone one. Silicone one's not going to work very well on this. It's going to be very, very floppy everywhere. So make sure you, let me just show you that again. So there's all different ones. So craft ones, really cheap, you can get, or you can get more expensive ones like paint brushes, okay? Just don't use one that you've used for your painting already. That's not so good. And the second question was, sorry?
Where's the mould from?
Where's the mould from? Good question. You can get this online. I think I got mine from eBay, but you've got places like the Home Chocolate Factory, Keylink as well. They both sell moulds very similar to this, and probably this one as well, I think, to be honest. But like I said before, if you don't get this mould, you can do this with a little mini egg mould, okay, like the one I had on top of that tree, okay. Right, so I've got a little bit of the silver creative powder, and this is what I'm going to back it off with. So you can see it's already dried, so it's gone from that shiny to more of that matte finish. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of the silver, and like a luster, it's going to go. You can see that nice lustery finish to that now. Okay, perfect. So you could do, that's going to make 2 of our yellow light bulbs. You could do 2 reds, 2 blues, 2 pinks, so on and so on. You can do more lights, whatever, okay? Again, what you're going to do now, you'd flood that with white chocolate, empty upside down, scrape it off. I'd only give this one coat, we want it quite light, okay, as in weight on the tree, not too heavy, and then we'll come back to that in a second. So I've already done some. You can see got some nice colours there. Okay, ready to go. And then use my hot plate again. I've got so many bits of equipment plugged in that I need one more plug. And it's important that all those tanks are in. So let's just give this a little bit of a wipe off. Now, you know when I was talking to you about when you touch things, something like this, we've got that nice and shiny effect that on the chocolates now, that is to not use just your fingers to touch it, okay? Because you're going to mess it up, you're going to maybe put fingerprints on it, so on and so on. Only problem is I do not have any gloves with me right at this moment, so I'm going to use my fingers, so don't do this at home, okay? So wait for that to heat up a little bit, and then you're going to take 2, just as we did with the larger egg, together, like so. These two the other ones. So you can use cotton gloves or you can use the plastic gloves. Just make sure with the plastic ones that you don't have any of that, what's it called? Like the flowery stuff inside. That's why I call it. Okay, together. Okay, just let them set for a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is on the more pointy bit, I want to melt this down slightly. So if I was doing the egg mold, I'd do the sort of the top bit of the egg I would bring down. So again, on the hot plate, and just literally take that down. Like that. So I've got a little hole in it. Okay. Put that upside like that. Okay, we can do another one. To stop my fingers making too much of a mess, I'm actually holding it at the seam. Okay, because the seam's not very nice to see anyway when it's on your showpiece. So if you don't have any gloves, don't worry too much. And I'd always suggest as well that when you do these and make them and you'll put them together, let them rest a little bit. Give them a little bit of time to rest. Okay, don't do it as quick as what I'm doing it because you need the chocolate to set again. So let's just take this away again. Okay, so these would have dried pretty much. I just move them out of the way, just take any excess of the chocolate off. Okay, we need to give them a base. These are our lights. We need a little base for our lights. So all I'm going to do is I'll bring this into the center. Is I'm going to take my light bulb and then just dip it just like that. I'll come down. Okay, give it a little wobble and then just take it off and then pop it back down. So that's like the end bit to our light bulb. So again, just dip it down a little bit, bring it out, give it a little wiggle, take off the end, done. Same again. Okay, so our little light bulbs. Okay. Okay, so now we've got our light bulbs. It's great. Now we're going to need a bit of twine for our light bulbs to go on. So I've made a little bit of modelling paste, which is over here. So I'll give you the recipe below, okay, for the modelling paste. It's basically chocolate, cocoa butter, glucose and water, okay? You're going to blend the chocolate, the cocoa butter and the glucose together in a blender, or so I would say more of a food processor, until it basically is like a smooth paste, okay, or it's slightly melted, okay? Pop in the water, that just emulsifies it all together, and then it's going to be quite runny, okay? So then pop it into a plastic tub, pop it in the fridge, or pop it in a cool area, and then just leave it overnight, probably best. And then you'll find, I'll just show you what mine looks like. I just put mine in a tub. It's very, very hard, okay, when it's set. Okay, so you're going to need a bit of time to knead that down, okay, and then you see I've kneaded this already, okay, and before I use it, I'm just going to knead it again, get it nice and smooth, and then we're going to roll this. Now, you won't need all of this, and you might want to do this in sections. I'm not going to get you to wrap a whole tree in this in the wire, so I always take sections off. I don't need. So I get to the rough shape that I need, them not right to the end, just with your fingers, but it's a little bit uneven. But get to it quite. It's good to work on a bit of marble here or something like that, something nice and flat. Too much indentations into it. And then I've got a flat tool here. So anything like a cake scraper or a cake smoother or something like that, and you're going to smooth it. And that's going to take all those imperfections out and make it. And I'm sort of like, when I'm doing it, I'm sort of pulling it this way just slightly, and you can see it makes it slightly longer and longer. You might find that sometimes you get a natural sort of break in it. Don't worry, just get rid of that bit. Or I can do two bits. I've got one there, and then one here. And then what I'm going to do is pop them together and then just give them a little twist, like so. This is going to be our cord for our lights. Right, so I'm going to bring down the sort of finished one I've done. So a little bit of one I made earlier. So as you can see, I've just literally, you can do it in sections. I've done it in probably 3. I've done 1 to here, and then where I've joined it here, obviously that's where one of the lights is going to go, and then I've got another 2 up there. So don't feel you've got to do it in one big long one and wrap it around. As long as you can hide it with lights and stuff like that is good. Okay. So now we've got our, let's get a few more lights down. We can grab a little piping bag. And then we can spray on. So you must use this freeze spray for this. So I'm going to go up there. I'm going to try and do it to you guys. Usually I use it facing me. So I haven't done a blue one yet, so let's do a blue one. So I've got that little joint there. I'm going to put one of those little lights. So you pop on a little bit of chocolate onto the base. Again, I would be using gloves. I'm really sorry, guys. Completely forgot to get them. And then pop that. Look, I'm just angling it towards you guys so you can see that light a little bit better. Okay, so that's going to be my front of the showpiece. Let's do an orange one. I might need just to move this around so I can just continue going all the way up. Let's go back to the pink. And then let's go for another red. And then I'm going to finish with a yellow one just right at the top. Oh, sometimes it falls off. Don't worry about it. A little bit more chocolate. Like so. And you can see we've got all our little lights on, our little tree. And then just to finish that, I'm going to put a couple of little stars on. Just got rid of my chocolate. Just to give it, so you've got a little star mold here, a little bit of white chocolate, little stars around. Do we have a question, Natasha?
Yes, Coral says, do you think you can fill the eggs with sweets?
Absolutely. And do you know what? I was going to say that to you guys. Truly, I was going to say that. Absolutely, yeah. Fill them with sweets. And that's really good to smash them open. Like Christmas Day on the table. Perfect idea. Absolutely brilliant. Well done. Thank you for saying and reminding. But there you go. So a couple of little stars. You could put some other sweets on there. Some other moulded chocolates or truffles or something like that on the outside. But that's our first little tree, guys. Okay. So I'll just pop that to the side for a minute. Ooh. But you can see you can get big ones and small ones. I'm going to bring that in just so you can see it. That, and I just put that one there. Oh, so you can see. Obviously, you can do lots of different sizes. Okay, next tree. So this one I'm going to use a mould, and this one I'm going to use sphere moulds this time. So I've got different sizes of spheres. I know the sizes of these ones. I've got 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. Okay, of the spheres. Okay, if you just got one of each, it's fine. You might need to do a few more than the others. So this one I'm going to use the green again, straight onto the surface. I've made sure that my moulds are really nice and clean. That's really important. And I'm going to use the 2 same greens again. So the one on its own first. Again, I'm using the sponge. Yes, question.
Catherine says, what would you improvise with if you don't have several different size models?
Good question. You probably could do it with one size of egg mold. If you've got one, you probably could do it with that. I just angle it probably a little bit differently. So you sort of like have this one flat here, maybe slant the next one up a little bit, slant the other one so it's almost like going up like that. And that would probably work quite well with maybe if I did 3 of the large ones there, I could probably get sort of like it larger to it going more to the top like that. So that could possibly help. Okay. So this one I'm going to go in with the sponge again. Okay. Now I really made sure that my molds are really nice and clean. Okay, it's really, really important that they're clean. I clean with alcohol as well. So like a 80% alcohol, not always easy to get hold of such a strong alcohol, but we know, Keylink sell it. That's really good for cleaning out molds, getting rid of any dirt or grime or anything. I'm just going to add a little bit to white. You'd obviously do all the green first. Going to add a little bit of white to get a slightly different colour. I'd probably let them set just a little bit more as well in between each colour. Okay, and then just go all the way around. I don't want to cover the whole thing again. I want to still see some of that chocolate underneath. Okay, and just keep going. When they're dry, okay, let them dry and then flood them again. Okay, always the larger ones are going to be at the bottom of the tree, so you need to do them like a double coat or that single coat, but leaving it filled up with chocolate for a few minutes. And then the ones you've got, the very small ones, the 3 centimetre ones at the top, you're going to have them quite thin, so you'd empty them out straight away. Okay, so you need a good selection of these, and again, you can make them any size that you like. So you can see I've got them here already. So I've got some larger ones, some smaller ones. We're just going to put some of these together again. Yes, Natasha, question.
Vanessa has asked, if you wanted to make a showpiece like this, how many hours would you need from start to finish?
Good question. It depends on the person who's making it. You'd need a lot of time, but in between. So like I would do all my eggs, they'd be all setting in the fridge, and I've obviously got a period of time while I'm waiting for them to set. And then you've got a period of putting them together. So in a day, you could make these quite easily. It depends on obviously if you have to temper the chocolate yourself, or if you've got the sell-me machines, things like that, instant temperance that you can use. That's going to be a lot quicker. So it's really difficult to say how it's going to, how long it's going to take. But within a day, you could make something like this, starting in the morning, and then you could do bits in between and stuff like that. Okay. So you've got nice shiny spheres. We just pop them together. We just need a few more. One piece. So you can see with the 2 show pieces, we've got one that's going to be very shiny, and we've got one, obviously, that's more of a matte finish as well. Let's take a few more of these. You can ask me now how many I'm going to use on the showpiece. I don't know. Lots. Always good to make more than you need, because things will always break as well. Yes, Natasha.
If you use silicone molds, would you leave the colour inside the same?
Yeah, now the silicone molds are okay. Okay, they're not going to be brilliant. They're good for the first sort of like time you use them, but they tend to degrade quite quickly from washing them. So I would be really careful with using silicone molds. You could go in beforehand, yeah, but you're never going to get them really shiny like you do with the polycarbonate molds. Okay, so it will work. Probably better to do it more like this technique. So you could do your spheres, and then you could do this one on them. Okay, so both of these can be adapted, these 2 showpieces. One to look like this, I could do the egg molds, but with this technique on the inside of the egg mold, and do the same design, but with that shiny finish. And then with the one I'm going to show you now, I could do it with this finish. Okay. So just do that one more. I think that's going to be enough. Okay, so just put them to one side for the minute, because I need to make my base. Okay, so what I've got here is just a tray. I got it on 2 trays. There's no difference, but you need a bit of acetate or greaseproof paper is fine for this. A good solid tray to work on. Okay, so we've got that the same size. This is going to be, we're going to make sort of like a central piece for our showpiece. And that's, again, I'm going to use my pot for the base of my tree. Okay, so on this, what I'm going to do is pour some chocolate in sort of like an S shape, okay, on here. I've got 2 pieces of cardboard that's going to make my template, okay? So I'm going to put the chocolate on it first and explain. Let's bring it over, it's probably going to be a little bit easier. So I'll start here, sort of come, that's more of a C shape. But you can do an S shape, if you like. It all happens on live TV. So give it a little tap down, like so, and we're going to let that semi-dry. Okay, so we let that go from the shiny to more of a matte finish. That's when we know, obviously, the chocolate has been tempered properly. That just takes a couple of minutes to do that. I've got a couple of bits of smaller bits of card as well, which I'll explain in a second. That's okay. Any questions, Natasha? No, we're all good. I hope everybody is staying well in this situation. We'd love to have you here, obviously, in our brand new academy. Unfortunately, like everywhere, we can't do any classes as yet. But hopefully in the future, keep an eye on our websites and you'll be able to come back and do some classes with us. But just remember, you know, we've got those other 3 live demos coming up in December, and then obviously more next year as well. Okay. It's probably a little bit wet, but I'll try it anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow this. Yeah, it's a little bit wet. I knew it was wet. I don't know why I did it, because I knew it was going to be wet. It's not too hot in here, which is good, but it just takes a little bit of time to set, guys. This is the thing with chocolate, is it takes time. It's ready when it is ready. Okay, so hopefully in a second. Any more questions? Anything coming through? Nothing's coming through. Anyone want to ask a question before we go on? I tell you what, I'm going to wait that there. I'm going to do another thing just to show you one of the little decorations we're going to do on this tree. So, spheres, half spheres, 3 centimetre. We're going to take them out. Like I said before, you've done this now, you've seen me do it. Fill them up, take them out, they're hollow. We're going to pop these together. We're going to make little bells from them. So if we put them together like so, okay, we can do several of these little bells. I'm going to take a knife, okay, nice flat knife. I'm going to heat it up with my heat gun, like so. We're going to put a nice cut down into that bell, into that ball to make it a bell. Okay? Once you've done that, let them set, and then you're going to take a little round nozzle. We're going to heat that up. So I'll just show you that. As you see, be careful because it's going to be hot. This is a paint stripper. You could use a hairdryer as well. And then you're just going to, where those ends are, just going to punch the holes through like so. Okay? Same on the other side. Never go back in with it just like when it's dirty like that. Just give it a little clean off. And you might need to heat it up again. No, it should be okay. Okay, and then just punch. If it doesn't go all the way through, don't force it. Like that, I'm not going to force it. I'm going to just heat it a little bit more. Yes, Natasha, we have a question.
So we have 2 questions from Lou. One is, do you need to stir the chocolate in the holding tank to stop it thickening? And the other is, do you have to pre-temper it with cocoa butter, or can you just heat it to 32 degrees?
So Callebaut, you can just heat it to 32 degrees. That's fine. I usually heat it. We usually keep ours a little bit hotter, around about 40 degrees, and then we cool them down. If we want it quicker, we will table temper it. Okay, if not, we just let it cool down, but shaking it, cooling it down, taking the temperature of it, that is fine. In the holding tanks, yes, you need to keep an eye on it. You can see a little bit now, my milk chocolate is starting to thicken up. Okay, we couldn't really use that for much at the moment. All I would do though is just heat it back up again with my heat gun, and that will bring it back up in temperature. If you're a little bit worried, because if you haven't done it too many times, you might need to check the chocolate before you use it with a little piece of paper. Just literally pop it in, flick it off a bit, and then just pop it onto your side. And you want that to set within sort of 3 to 5 minutes, okay?
And I've got another one, sorry.
Yes.
Vanessa's also asked, can you use powders to colour cocoa butter?
Yes, you can. You can, as long as they're fat-soluble colours, you can mix them with cocoa butter. And then I would, once you've mixed it, I put it through a little bit of muslin, okay? Strain it through, because even in there's little particles in that dust that might not have all dissolved. And if you want to spray it, things like that, you can get it clogged in your gun. If you're just going to stipple it, it doesn't matter, okay? But you might want to just strain it through a bit of muslin, okay? So here I've got some of our shimmer powder, our gold shimmer powder, and I've already shimmered some of those bells already. And then you can just literally, don't get them all over your mold. But you can see what I can do. You can get a nice little shimmer on there. So I'm keeping them more like white chocolate, but a little bit of shimmer. So that's going to be one of our little decorations. Let's go back to this now. Hopefully, yeah, that should be okay. So we're going to pop this in. This is really good if you want to make structural pieces. This piece I'm going to actually, it's going to touch the top, and then I'm going to make it thicker coming down. And then I'm just going to cut that off there with that smaller piece of card. Okay, does that make sense? You might want to go for a top view on that, Natasha, so people can see. So you can see where I've got that, okay? So this is going to be in my pot. This is going to be in the top of my tree, okay? Once that's all sat and it's all set, we're just going to fill it with chocolate. So just get some more chocolate and just fill it about halfway. But make sure that first bit is set before you fill up, or it's just going to fall down again. If you're doing a lot larger pieces, then you want to make sure it's all taped together and things like that. Just give it a little shake and then let that set. Okay, needs a bit of time in the fridge as well, but let it set first. So I've got one here that's already set, but I'm going to do a little bit of shading on it. And the best thing is to get like a bin bag, or you can cling film your table or something like that. So I can pull it all apart, and you can see I can reuse this chocolate. Okay, don't throw it away. It will be reused. And this I want to shave it down a little bit. It's a little bit bulky. It's a little bit sort of thick. So I use these these are the wood graters. You can just use a knife actually as well. Okay, you can just scrape it and use a knife, which is just as good. But these are quite good. You can shave them down, and you want to get a bit of roundness to it as well. So you see why I use that plastic now to keep all the little bits of chocolate everywhere. So you can come to a little bit of a point, it doesn't have to be so much. This is going to be covered up, guys, so don't worry too much, but it holds the spheres a little bit easier when it's a bit rounded. So you see where it's just starting to round off, and then at the end, all I do is use my hands, use my palms, and you can make it very smooth. Okay, so I do that all the way over, making it a little bit finer, a little bit smoother, and a bit more rounded on the ends as well. Okay, make sure that you keep this bit thicker, and then obviously keeping that part thinner on the edge of the top. Look how easy it is to clean up. So take a little bit Because they take a little bit of water, but it's just for me, just take a little bit of water and clean your hands. Okay, so what I've done is I've already stuck one into my pot. Okay, so I've got my pot here. This is the pot that I showed you, the more food grade sort of style one. It's slightly bigger, and you can see where I've got my central column then, and I've just literally poured chocolate into the bottom, set it into it, just hold it there. You could use a little bit of freeze spray to set it. Okay, so very easy. Let it sit there for a little bit of time. Okay, so it's nice and firm. Make sure you fill the tub up with a little bit more chocolate. Okay, so it's nice and heavy on that bottom. So it's going to be more stable then. And then we've got our spheres. You can see I've started to put my spheres on already. You see I've got larger ones at the bottom. I've put some smaller 3 centimeter ones in as well. So I'm just going to finish this off now if I can find my other. Oh, they're all rolling around. So I'll grab a little piping bag. A little bit of chocolate, a little bit of tempered chocolate. So we need our freeze spray again for this. And then we can continue to go around. Obviously keep looking at it. You know, you want to make sure that it's large at the base here with this larger spheres going up to a more smaller spheres on the top. So all I do is literally, so place it where you're going to put it, okay? Look at where the seam is, okay? You don't really want to see that seam, so I'm going to angle the seam away from me. So when I'm looking at the showpiece, I don't want to see that, that seal, okay? Sometimes you do see it a little bit, depends on where you stand, but you want to make sure that that's all good. And then you can just type and again, you want to try and hide as much as you can of the chocolate as well. When you freeze with the freeze spray, okay, what it tends to do is goes back to being slightly defrosted, so slightly wet before it fully sets. Okay, so just make sure that, you know, it's not going to completely fall off, or just make sure that it sets properly before you start putting more and more on top of it. Okay, put one there, I think. And you can, we've got those bells we're going to put on, so there's always ways of hiding different areas if you need to. Got a question, Natasha? Yeah.
Where do you get the shimmer powders from?
So the shimmer powders you can get from Keylink. They do all the shimmer powders from the IBC range. If they don't, they will be now. And another question.
Yeah. Freeze spray.
Yes.
Is that food safe? And if not, what do you use when assembling for consumption?
It's a very good question. I've got a funny feeling that our freeze spray is food grade, but I'm going to get back to you on that because I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so I know there's some that aren't and some that are. I've got a really, 90% feeling that ours is actually food safe. I don't know if Julie's on the call. Julie's our technical advisor here. She might know the answer, so she might message on there. But if not, we'll get back to you on that. But it's a very good point. Thank you for asking. So keep. Keep going round. You see I'm getting a bit smaller at the top. Sometimes it's good to just walk away and let it stabilize itself, because if you just do it all in one go, you know, and it's still trying to fight with each other, trying to set. So just keep an eye on it. Don't go too crazy with it. We get a good structure. One thing we do now in the, we'll talk about cocoa butters. In the IBC range, they do E-free cocoa butters. So they're all natural cocoa butters, and they contain vegetables to colour them. So if you're looking for something a little bit more natural, that's a good way to go, and a good cocoa butter to use as well. So just turn it around, guys, so I can see it, because sometimes you need to see it from the angle everybody's going to see it from, just to get that look. Okay. I'm just going to concentrate on the front for the moment. Just do a few more on the top. Let's just pop a couple more of these together. So I'm just going to put a couple more of these together, just so I can get a little bit more on the top there. So I'm just going to turn it around. I haven't quite got enough to finish the whole thing from one side for the back, so I'm just going to finish more of this top bit. It's a little bit unstable here, so I'm going to pipe a little bit, as you can see, completely unstable. So a little bit more chocolate. And just finish one more on the top there. You've got to be really careful, guys, how much of this free spray that you use. Okay, because if you use too much, it can affect the finish of the cocoa butter. Okay, so just be really careful. I'll put these ones on later, but you can see what I'm doing there. And then I'm just going to get a little bit of white chocolate on my bells. I've got chocolate everywhere, guys. I've got paints all over. And come back to mine. I'm just going to turn it around so I can. This is another good way now if you've got sort of something to hide, a little bit of an imperfection or something like that, then you can hide it. But it's nice that you can still use the sphere mold to make other decorations to go on it as well. And I'll probably put a few little stars on just to give it that finishing touch. Any other questions, Natasha?
So this is how you made the little piping bags.
Oh, I can show you in a second.
It sounds like I got stuff, but
Tasha's always wants to know how to make them. So yeah, give me a few minutes, guys, and I. It's always good to look back, look at your Showpiece and see the angle of how it's going and see what you need Less is always more, in my opinion. Yeah, question.
We had another question earlier on actually from Neil asking if it's okay to heat cocoa butter in the microwave or is it better in hot water?
No, I do it in the microwave. You've got to be really, really careful though not to burn it. And you've got to be really careful with the bottle as well, okay? Make sure you always take the lid off, the cap off, when you put it in your microwave, like that. Don't leave it like that in your microwave. It will explode and you'll have a completely white microwave or green microwave, okay? Be careful not to get it too hot as well. The other day when I was doing some of the pink light bulbs, I heated my pink up, it was all great, and it exploded. So I got completely covered in pink. But luckily my wife got all the colour out, which was great. So be really careful not to overheat them, okay, and just keep an eye on them. And that's absolutely fine. If you get it too hot, just make sure you take that temperature to get the right temperature. Sometimes it's really difficult to know when to stop, but I'm going to put, when you use this freezer, like I said before, get this right in there. Don't spray like this from afar, go right in, and then it's going to set it straight away. I'm going to do one more of the bell up there. And I've got a couple of little stars. And this time I put the gold shimmer powder on these ones, which is really nice. And then, but like I said before, guys, you can do both these techniques and these designs. Oh, see one's fallen off already. On either of the molds. Okay, so you can do this effect on the egg molds, and then you can do the others, the egg molds of this design as well. Yeah, I got a question, Natasha.
Can you use dark or milk chocolate instead of white for the spheres on the tree?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, just keep going. Yeah, white, milk, dark, whatever. Gold chocolate, have you had the new Callebaut gold chocolate? The ruby chocolate as well. You can use any of them because they all make obviously different, you will see a little bit of the colour underneath. That's good. You can see I used the milk chocolate on this one, but I could have used the white on this one as well. And obviously this one, I could have used the milk chocolate on the dark chocolate. Okay. So there we go, guys. That's two, let's get the angle right so you can see it. Two quite easy showpieces to do. And like that lovely lady said, or guy said earlier on about filling them with chocolates, you can even fill these ones with the chocolates as well, or in the actual dish at the bottom, the little pot as well. But there you can see you've got, oh yeah, look, a bit closer. Get all angles, all angles. Let me just get in the festive period, get my hat on. There you go. Oh, it looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Needs to be a bit, that's better. But there you go, guys. So two really good, really simple Christmas trees, just using a couple of molds, okay, quite a few different sizes. But like I said before, you could just use the one size, especially for the eggs as well. So I hope you've really enjoyed this, guys. I hope you've taken something from it. Remember the other three classes we've got coming up. We've got the vegan desserts with Julie and Claire. That's on the 2nd of December at 2 o'clock, so you can sign up for that. We've got the garnishes and decorations. That's what I'll be doing on the 8th of December. So sign up for that. That's at 2 o'clock as well. And then we've got Crystal Baubles with Claire and Julie. That's on the 11th of December at 2 o'clock. I keep looking over there because that's my list. I've got my list of all the dates. So sign up on the social media. You'll be able to see them all on there. And you can come and enjoy some more techniques for your Christmas period. So I hope you really enjoyed it, guys. Thank you for joining us here at the Academy. Hopefully we'll be able to see you soon, one day in real life, and you can come and work in the Academy. It will be great. Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you for watching. See you later.